The masked madmen of Slipknot have terrorized the music scene for decades, with their aggressive signature sound being the soundtrack of many new metal fans' childhoods. Their dark lyrics, the scary satanic masks, just a few things that make Slipknot stand out from the crowd. But what if I told you it wasn't just an act? That the meaning of their lyrics actually draw from an extremely disturbing past, from inciting riots, including real-life mental breakdowns in their music. This is the dark history of Slipknot.
I'm waiting for the punishment. I know it's not my way. God, give me up and fuck me up. God, give me up and fuck me up.
The Iowa album is probably Slipknot's darkest work to date, and now I know the backstory, I can definitely see why. The band was trying to follow up on the success of their first album, and along with the success came women, money, and more importantly, expectations from the record label to repeat the success. This ultimately sent pretty much the whole band into a downward spiral, with the band increasing their drug use, Corey Taylor battling alcohol to the point he would cut himself with glass in the studio just so he could feel something. The list goes on. And an extremely eerie fact that I only just found out today, Sid Wilson had a huge mental breakdown following the death of his grandfather, and as it was fitting right in with the vibe of the album, one of Sid's breakdowns actually made it onto the album as the opening track 515, where Sid is clearly distressed, and it makes this track even more disturbing knowing this was true raw emotion. To add to the lore, legendary producer Ross Robinson was wheelchair bound during the making of this album due to a broken back, adding another element of chaos as the band recalls hearing his screams of pain, with the screams even being apparent in the drum tracks of the album. The pressure on the band during this album was insane, with many thinking due to the success of their debut album that they would go sell out and be more mainstream, and they couldn't have been more wrong, as Slipknot did the complete opposite. Further enhancing the chaos around the album was the release date, August 28th, 2001, just weeks before the horrific 9/11 incident occurred. This completely derailed the album and the band's tour schedule, with Corey stating that their songs were banned at a lot of radio stations and MTV wouldn't touch them due to the fear that surrounded the country at the time. Way back in 2007, the iconic frontman recalls the tough times he faced growing up on a trailer park where, according to him, all there was to do was to take drugs and fuck, and this carefree lifestyle almost lost him his life. Taylor spoke in an interview with Blabbermouth about the time he was literally left for dead in a dumpster, waking up after ODing at a party. He claims he can't remember much other than waking up 12 miles from his home and being covered in blood, thinking at the time that he was actually dead. Corey claims that his friends, instead of taking him to the hospital after ODing, made the executive decision to just instead throw his presumably dead body in a trash can, which is exactly where he woke up. He then had to walk back 12 miles on his own, an experience that will live with him for the rest of his life. Corey Taylor wasn't the only Slipknot member to experience a near-death experience too, except this one happened live on stage. If you're a Slipknot fan, you know that Sean Clown Crahan is an absolute menace in the best way possible. Clown is known for his onstage antics, putting his all into every live performance, entering the zone so much that he often puts his own health at risk, to the point his wife told him that he was pushing it too far. If you die, you're just going to be a guy in some book somewhere. The warning was almost a prediction of the future, when Clown literally almost unalived himself on stage in front of thousands. Clown had a habit of being a menace on stage, and one of his party tricks was to jump into a trash can, roll around on stage, and basically kick the shit out of his bandmates, using the protection of the trash can to defend from their attacks. Sounds fairly harmless, but one time during Ozfest, Clown geared up for his usual antics, diving headfirst into the barrel. The issue? The barrel was full of water, leaving Clown stuck headfirst in a barrel while his bandmates continued to play, assuming business was as usual. Clown recalls that for 35 seconds, his head was fully submerged underwater, and he was certain that he was going to die. Stuck and drowning, he finally managed to knock over the barrel and avoid certain death, but this experience will never leave him, with Clown saying that the near-death experience taught him to rein in his performances, but only a little, as he still happily welcomes what he calls a healthy dose of personal pain during live performances.
Jesus Christ, Clown's got a fucking pit crew over here.
Yeah,
He's got the headset and shit. Fuck, you guys need stickers everywhere.
that's shit.
That was awesome.
We gotta take the stairs. We gotta do our lap. Get around that dog leg turn. You can pass him.
In 2009, Slipknot was wildly accused of influencing a school massacre when an 18-year-old named Morn Hamza went on a rampage with a sword at a South African school. But what did this have to do with Slipknot? Well, the media accused their satanic music as a potential reasoning for the attack, with Hamza quote-unquote wearing a Joey Jordison-inspired mask at the time of the killing. The situation wasn't helped by eyewitnesses claiming the killer was camouflaged as the guy from Slipknot, again, unfortunately attaching the band's name to such a horrific crime. The band tried to ignore it, but Corey Taylor ultimately addressed the issue, claiming that their music actually promotes a sense of family and togetherness, which to be fair is often echoed in their live performances, often stopping the crowds to tell them, and I quote, that they're crazy motherfuckers that in this moment, no matter what religion, race or belief system people hold, they are all sharing this moment and experience together. The media often paint metalheads in a certain way, so it was a relief to see the head of the psychology unit for this case shut those rumours down and explain that someone of their own free will can kill another person, determining that Hamza acted of his own accord and the blame should only solely be placed on his shoulders. This wasn't the first instance though, as back in 2003, a 20-year-old man and his 16-year-old girlfriend claimed that they listened to Slipknot's aggressive Ira album before and after the killing of a 22-year-old man who was brutally stabbed. The detectives mentioned the track Disaster Piece, claiming they lured the man into a false sense of security while listening to Slipknot together before committing the horrendous crime. Yes, Disaster Piece obviously has some dark lyrics, but again, true Slipknot fans know the message and the meaning that the band promotes, so this disaster was quickly separated from Slipknot.
This song is called Disaster Piece. Here we go. I can't hear you, London. Make some noise.
Paul Gray was an ex-Slipknot bass player, and if you watch any of his previous interviews, you'll see that while he was brutally honest at times, he was always seen as a truly good guy and didn't give off the typical rock star ego energy. So knowing this makes it all the more devastating when you find out about his past. Paul Gray unfortunately had an addiction to heroin throughout his time in Slipknot, one that spanned over decades and was so bad that even the band members themselves, who were allegedly on drugs, had to stage an intervention for him in 2003 during the recording of Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. During a past interview with Loudwire, he revealed, "I would spend half of the time in the bathroom shooting up. I'd be trying to play and I'd fall out of my chair a couple of times and fall asleep in the middle of tracking a song. Once you get to a certain point with drugs, it's so fucking hard going through withdrawal. Halfway through the record, I ended up going to rehab." Shortly after this, Paul got completely clean and moved back to Iowa with his wife, away from the drug scene that existed in Los Angeles, and it seemed to work, as Paul would often mention his sobriety in interviews with a sense of pride. But on May 24th, 2010, it was reported that Paul Gray's body was found at the Town Places Suite Hotel in Iowa. He was only 38 at the time. Upon finding his body, hotel staff claimed he had a hypodermic next to his bed with pills scattered all across the room. Forensic reports later documented that Paul had in fact passed away due to an accidental dose of morphine and fentanyl, along with showing significant heart disease. The day after, Slipknot and Gray's family got together to hold a press conference, with Corey Taylor speaking during the tearful event.
Yesterday we lost our brother, and the world seems a little smaller because of it. He had the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. He was everything that was wonderful about this band. The only way I can sum up Paul Gray is love, and that's what he's left behind for us, is absolute love. I will miss him with every fiber of my heart. We miss you, Paul. We miss you very much.
What makes the circumstances surrounding this death even worse is the fact that his wife was pregnant with their child at the time, with her ultimately filing a lawsuit against Paul's physician for 7 charges of manslaughter, although he was eventually acquitted.
For this, I know Paul would be very touched. So the whole site is going to have a 2-minute silence. The screens are going to show a 2. Just be quiet, yeah?
The confirmed number of deaths at Slipknot concerts has equated to 3 fatalities, with the most recent being in 2019, when during Slipknot's Knotfest, a 60-year-old fan was injured in the pit, leading to a seizure with paramedics unable to reach the fan at the time to save him. Heartbreakingly, this happened just weeks after Corey Taylor was seen on stage putting a stop to the concert and issuing fans instructions to move out of the way to allow paramedics to attend to fans.
Hold on, guys, we got something going on right there. Can we get EMTs in there? Everybody back up, give some room, make sure they can get in. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Let's make sure they get out. Let's make sure they get out, okay? Are they good? Is everybody okay? I just want to make sure they get somewhere where they can get looked at, guys. I promise, okay? Are they good? All right. Thank you so fucking much, guys. Thank you for looking out.
Yes, this really happened, and it sounds weird putting this in with obviously some of the dark shit that we've talked about, but Slipknot nearly filed a lawsuit against Burger King back in 2005 when the fast food joint released an advert parodying a metal band with their hilariously titled Cock Rock Band. Slipknot's legal team tried to file a copyright infringement against Burger King, but they fought back with the extremely valid point that they were not the only band in the world to wear a mask, and ultimately the lawsuit was dropped. I know you're probably thinking, where's the death of Joey Jordison? Well, when scripting this video, the circumstances surrounding Joey's death were not substance related. Instead, it seems that it was down to health related issues due to suffering from a long-standing battle with a form of multiple sclerosis. Joey passed away in his sleep in 2021, and not only the band, but fans across the world greatly miss him and his talent.
Thank you.